You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 255 of East Central's favorite podcast. I'm Jeremiah Morrell. Today I'm joined by a cast of characters, but my forever co-host is our producer, and he's the reason why we got off to we missed first gear, Dakota.
Sorry about that. Today's episode is the annual Indy 500 preview episode. We're going to be, once again, as happens every year before the Indy 500, you guys are going to be talking about everything to do with race day, what to expect, all of the odds, and I'm going to sit here and try to not make a fool of myself by asking dumb questions.
You're going to play the straight man.
Yeah.
And say, hey, wait a minute.
What
are you people talking about? Audrey would probably confirm that. This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you, other times we'll make you laugh, but hopefully you'll always learn something new. We just did a fantastic Patreon where we rated a bunch of beef jerky. And at this moment, I realized that I probably should have brought some sort of a floss stick.
Yeah.
A nice mint would help.
A mint? No, it's let that Korean barbecue just linger.
I think I have some Listerine in my truck. That would help.
So the Patreon show notes, this is the most interactive version of show notes I've ever made. And it's because Dakota put me in charge of show notes this week. So I have reference files, sample things. It's very much to drive. It's a tricky thing, Dakota. I'm trying to drive traffic to the Patreon with the show notes and to make sure people are getting it emailed to them automatically. Did I do well? Is this a good choice? Is this a bad choice?
I think you did well. I mean, the only critique I have is that you just put the link right in. You don't just link a word, you know.
Like well, it makes it clear. It makes it clear that it's a link.
Yeah.
I could have highlighted it and gone hyperlink. It also
takes up a lot of space with gibbledy-goop.
That's fine. We're a working man show.
For the technologically illiterate, the man at the other end of the table, it helps to have the link.
Yeah, if I said, "Hey, Mike, click on the where it says Kirk Kirkwood." Yeah. I think that helps Mike.
Yeah. Okay.
He still hasn't been able to make the links open, but he at least got to the second step of it.
Yeah. Okay.
He pressed on the link.
Next year, I vote we don't give Blake a microphone.
I tried. I really tried this year, and then Blake, due to a minor illness, Blake got a mic. So
I got the call from the bullpen. I'm here.
He's the left-handed reliever, ready to go. All right, so Dakota, who do we got to thank?
That's right. Patreon.com/BossHogOfLiberty. That's where you can go to support the show every month on a monetary level. We accept donations of any kind. You always get access to a Facebook group where you get a bonus live stream episode every single week that we do this show. They last about 20 minutes, so really good. You get access to those show notes that Jeremiah was talking about. You get those ahead of time. The Patreon show is where we do the silly things that we used to do. We've always eaten food on this show that's strange, and people have sent us food to eat. That is where all those silly little things happen, and it's a good time. I think that it's well worth your $5 a month if you want to pay that. But if you donate $50 or more a month, then you get a shout out at the front of every episode. We have 3 of those beautiful people, and those folks are Miss Christy Avery from all the way in Fort Wayne, Mr. Jonathan Phillips, and then, of course, Mr. Anthony Meyer, who probably knows a lot about the truck stop beef jerky that we were talking about. I'm sure that he's got some good ones that I don't know about.
I bet he knows all about Dakota jerky.
I'm sure he does.
I wonder if he's tried gnarly jerky. He gets across the country.
He does.
Do you think the gnarly jerky is on shore shelves out on the West Coast?
If they aren't now, than they will be after,
After
word
our
gets out.
critiques. Yeah.
After the big boss hog bump.
Yep.
I legitimately do have jerky in my teeth, and it's going
After
to be an
hear
adventure.
that they got a rating of a 2 out of 10, they're going to be like, oh, we got to change some things. And then they're going to make those changes and just boom.
And then when they say their spiciest is the not, it's got to fluctuate on the
actually be spicy.
The carne asada in the original, spectacular. All right. So show and tell time, Dakota. I force friendship.
Yeah, you do.
Brian Nichols moved to the state of Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
He shares this building with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you need to earn your Hoosier card. And last week we got him to commit on this show to coming to the Speedway with me last weekend. So Brian and Caitlin drove out to IMS for day one of qualifications. We don't call it pole day. I don't know what the hell to call qualifying anymore at the Speedway, but day one of qualifying. And, they hung out with us. We walked through the garage area, pointed out drivers. I think we might have made some Simon Pagenaud fans, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
They enjoyed Simon, especially when they heard about Norman. And we're sitting in the grandstand between rain delays, and I think it's the number 14, the Rocket Chevrolet driven by driver Kirkwood was ready to go out. And Brian is paying attention. He's all in. He's sitting in front of me. We're in the paddock penthouse. There's 3 rows, so I'm just kind of sitting like one seat to the left and just above Brian. He looks back at me and says, "There's a driver named Kirk Kirkwood." What? No. I'm like, no, it's Kyle Kirkwood. He's like, no, it says Kirk Kirkwood. And I'm like, oh shit. So all over the track, they show a picture of the driver and their name on the big billboard at IMS. The quarter million people supposed to be at this place. I snapped this little photo shoot and I said, hilarious. The 34th driver is in the Indy 500. It's Kirk Kirkwood. That tweet, thanks to Brian, got viewed 48,000 times since Saturday. A reach of 48,000.
And some poor guy.
Kyle has replied to it twice now, saying that there's an imposter. And then yesterday he said, I guess I'm Kirk now. He's fully in.
Just accept it. And some poor guy in the pagoda is like, I did what? And how many people have seen it?
Nobody else caught it. I send the twig that Brian alerts me to it. I'm like, oh yes, eye for content. Throw it up there. And now it's going to, I want to see if it sticks, if this becomes like a lore and we're taking credit for it.
They should like introduce him on race day as Kirkwood.
I think they called him Kirk Kirkwood last night on MS on the trackside show. No. Or as a little jab. Kirk. I know on the Racing Spaces, Marshall Pruitt did this week when he talked about him as well. So that's 2. It's going to stick.
Yeah, he's Kirk forever now. He might as well just legally change his name.
And his Twitter handle is K Kirkwood Racing.
Yeah, it's not going to correct it there.
Yeah, he can just go with it.
It's done.
When he signs with Andretti next year, Kirkwood.
I think he's already signed with Andretti for next
when he admits that he's signed with Andretti for next year. Have you met Kirk Kirkwood yet, Blake?
I've seen everybody. I've not really talked to anybody. I gave Marco a fist bump and have been Mario's bodyguard. But like, other than that, I'm not really supposed to talk to drivers.
So you are in the IMS. You're like a yellow shirt, but the dark side.
Yeah. So if you see me at the track, I'm in this black polo. I'm a part of the IMS College Experience program.
I have a technical question before we even get any further.
Okay,
because this is where my head goes.
Okay.
Did they give you one?
I got 2 polos.
Thank God, because you have to do laundry every night.
And a rain jacket. Rain jacket's pretty
You're going to need that later this week.
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous of the rain jacket.
It's a very nice rain jacket. But yeah, there's about 150 of us college kids running around. We're in all different divisions. I got lucky enough to be put in the pits. I've worked the north pits mostly. And yesterday, Zach saw me
Gasoline Alley entrance.
Yep, at Gasoline Alley, directing cars onto the track, off the track. It's a lot of fun.
Have you told anybody driving a golf cart they don't belong where they're at?
No, so that is typically not my job. Like, that's people in front of me. I'm more, once they're in, I then boss them around. But I'm a yellow shirt and a black shirt, to say the least.
You're telling them to get over.
Yeah. Get over, stop.
Jeremiah, it's been a big month for Junior McKown. He has a microphone tonight and got a whistle at the track.
I got a whistle at the track, and I have been given the headset more days than not. So that's a little bit of power on my side.
All right, let's see how much you've tested the power.
Okay.
Have you told your old man to move out of the way yet?
Nah, he's out of the way.
No, but he told me to put my vest on the other day.
Well, it was my first day on the job, and I'm not going to let in a guy that doesn't have his proper credentials on.
Is this a volunteer position?
No, I do get paid.
Nice.
Which
He's a professional that gets paid to yell his
Yes,
mother.
I get paid more than the yellow shirts.
Unless, I wouldn't say that, but unless I have a couple crashes on Sunday, he probably gets paid more than me this.
Yeah. No, it's a very good experience. I've enjoyed it a lot. I mean, you guys know I'd be there anyway, so might as well get paid to do it. And I'm in the pits. So, I mean, it's a lot of fun. A lot of action where I'm at, especially with the Andretti's being in the higher half of the
I came
field.
down and visited you on Fast Friday.
Yeah.
And I walked by you 2 or 3 times and I just kept going, it's 90 degrees and Blake's wearing a black shirt. He's going to die. Like there's no surviving this day.
No.
I intentionally wear like gray t-shirts to the track or gray something. Black is horrific.
Well, it's a Nike polo, so like it's
Well, the
breathable.
swoosh does not protect you. It's not like a,
No, it's a very breathable polo. Like I will.
I bet it's better than what the yellow shirts have on. 'Cause I think the
Yes,
yellow
it
shirts are
is.
wearing like straight up polyester and they have to wear like an undershirt on to keep under it. And
I've only gotten like real hot one day, and that
Friday, at least it was windy.
yeah.
It was the most pleasant 88-degree day I've been a part of. Now, I was almost blown off of a grass mound, but it was pleasant. Yeah, it would be a little hot on pit lane.
so I missed, due to a family birthday, I missed the actual qualifying, the pole qualifying on Sunday.
Heck of a session.
It was
You missed
insane.
I
That was a
got to
bummer.
watch practice, but the pole qualifying I missed out. So it was new this year, Mike. Were you there?
Yes, I was there.
All
I
right.
was working.
Pull your mic in a little closer for me.
Okay.
So what was different about this procedure? Because I assume you've been there since they ran like
2 weekends.
That's
when they
whenever
ran 10 lap.
the Cummins
qualifying
diesel
runs.
was running around whenever he
Yeah.
was there.
So the difference this year was that they took the fast 12 on Sunday, and then they ran everybody one time. They took the top 6 and ran them again. So a lot of these guys had to qualify 3 different times.
And Scott Dixon, who ultimately wound up winning the pole, was 10th. So in previous years, he would have completely missed out on this opportunity, but they said, hey, let's go down deeper. On road courses, they take the top 12. So this time they took the top 12 instead of 9. Dixon was 10th, and then he qualified his way into the top 6.
Well, with no bumping, because we only have 33 cars, it was obviously going to be a boring day, and they did what they could do to make it more exciting, and it was.
How'd the crowd feel?
It was awesome. I thought the crowd was great. They were cheering for everybody. Like they basically did the road course knockout qualifying, except for everybody did the one run. They do groups for road courses, but fast 12, fast 6, and like it went about the way they've done shootouts before. They've done the fast 9 shootout. I remember the first year they did the fast 9 shootout because of a rain delay. They were going to give them like a time frame, X number of runs, however many you can do in this time frame. Then it rained, and so instead they did. I believe Ed Carpenter ended up on the pole that year. They said, okay, we're going to do the fast 9 shootout, all of them together, reverse order, so the fastest guy goes last. And that was amazing because they came out and you knew exactly what you had to do. But the best guy, and Ed Carpenter is an absolute monster at IMS, especially in qualifying, was last. And the way this one was is that they were it was going back and forth. They're all real close in terms of how fast they were going. Like some guys were holding it together for 2 or 3 laps, but every time that somebody would throw down a big lap, crowd would go crazy. Every time they rolled in when they were done, the crowd would cheer them into the pits as the next guy was going out. So it was like the crowd was great, and they have some big
The
banners.
stands looked full. Did
Pretty
they feel
full, like full enough that I thought that right behind the flag stand, they have 3 sections of the lower grandstands that are covered with an NTT data logo, an American flag, and I think there's a wing and wheel. Maybe it's just the 2. I can't remember. An American flag, maybe. And I thought, man, they should have taken those covers off because they were surrounded by people. And then I was in the Tower Terrace, and those seats were pretty. I'm like, you had space. You weren't like crammed in like it was a full race day, but you had to go like looking for space to sit
Tower Terrace is over in front of the media center. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty full. And then where we ran into you for the GP.
Up in the E penthouse or whatever.
Yeah, that was absolutely full all the way down, which was really cool to see. And
there wasn't a soul down there with me. I was all by myself.
Where were you, Mike?
Pit entrance, same place I always end at the far north
Your
end.
preferred spot.
Yes.
Did you get any good shots? Anything that you're able to use?
I didn't get anything transmitted. Nothing really happened in my area, but I mean, I probably took 30 or 40 pictures is all I took.
That was the quiet end of the track.
Yeah. There wasn't much going on.
No Graham Rahal incidents this time.
Not yet.
yeah, keyword.
So we had the fastest pole in the history of the Indianapolis 500. Not the fastest 4-lap average, but the fastest pole speed in the history of the race. Scott Brayton in 96 was just slightly slower than what Scott Dixon was able to do. Did it feel like everybody was waiting on it? The big moment, we got to have this, got to have the speed. We kind of surprisingly got into the speed this year.
Yeah, I think people are just happy to see the speed because I think everybody thought like there was no real change to the cars. The engines have to be almost developed out because you think, how could they keep finding anything? And then I think the first time Fast Friday, there wasn't a lot of running because, like I said, it was real windy, and I think everybody was afraid someone was going to stuff it. And so I remember like we were sitting there late in the session, and Sato went out, and Sato ran like a 2:34.7, and we're like, wait a minute, and because you thought maybe we'd see a 2:33. And to see him almost hit 2:35, and then Connor Daly set the new trap speed, recorded trap speed. They haven't been keeping track of it for very long.
There was a small controversy.
But I think they've only been keeping track of that for like 13 years. But he was going like almost 244 miles an hour into the traps in turn 3. So I think everybody was like, heck yeah. I think people were surprised to see the speeds. And then I know I was surprised. I wasn't paying a lot of attention in the 90s to realize that there was, I guess, some deals with why Ari was qualifying on the day he was and stuff. But to think that there was a big enough drop off that everybody kind of knows the record is like 236, 237. And to think that 234 was as fast as the pole speed that year, I was like, oh, I guess I didn't realize that there was such a drop off from the fastest speed that year to like what was more normal.
And Mike, you can probably speak to this as well, but it was the speeds in 96 just kind of came out of nowhere. And Ari's speed was way beyond what everybody else is doing. It was a 3 or 4 mile an hour jump.
And it's going
to
be hard to ever get there again. I mean, it really is.
They could do it if they wanted to. Just give them the boost.
But they won't let them.
I don't know if they meant to give them 234 this year.
Yeah, they might not have. They might have said, well, the cat's out of the bag. What are you going to do? You're going to take it away at that point. But yeah, I think that and they always try to keep the cars a little slower, but there's a certain point that the teams are always going to find a way. And when you've let them develop a car for a decade, they're going to figure out how to get it done.
And you're at 233 and probably 6 different lines because guys aren't coming through the corner all the same. So I mean, there's a big difference if I see Sato come through the corner than when I see Elio come through the corner. Or when I see Rinus VK. Rinus VK does not get close to the wall. And the next guy's, banging it. So, I mean, there still are different lines. And it's those guys and how comfortable they get with that line. Obviously Jimmy Johnson wasn't very comfortable with his line. But, we've got different guys running the car differently. And it still changes daily.
You're saying Jimmy Johnson wasn't very comfortable. Man, he made the top 12.
Fastest. He was the fastest American out of was it 13? There's 13 or 14 Americans.
Fastest American on the first day.
First day, yeah.
Because Ed's starting in the second row now.
Yeah, the first day, fastest American. So
probably the fastest rookie at that point too. And was he ahead of Grosjean?
They're gonna give him all the.
At that point,
Ultimately, I know Grosjean wound up having to milk the cow, but at the fastest rookie luncheon today. All right. And it's the fastest field in the history of the Indy 500. So, I mean, this is just, there's so much speed built in, and these guys are all so close. Although I don't know how they count Wilson. That's the little sticking point to me. If I have any gripe about the way qualifying went down, is that Saturday felt like the old day one of pole qualifying would have. But you would have had at least day 2 or day 3 and 4 in the old days, where you qualified 32 cars, and then the next day you would have had time for bumping, for people to get back in the race, for Wilson to run. And I felt like if it was qualifying 12, 15, 20 years ago, you just had all the cars go the first day. Does that pass the smell test to anybody?
Not to me. You know,
because you would have had wave offs is what you're
right. I think that, you know, the fastest 4-lap average is already on not a first day qualifying.
Right.
You know, you always had some suspense coming back. You know, they tried to do that by making the fast 12, fast 6. It had some of that, but you know, there's something to be said of when I'm walking through the garage taking pictures and you're taking pictures of Fernando Alonso, one of the best drivers in the world, not making the race, or the Penske's not making the race, or
James Hinchcliffe getting bumped by James Davison.
Yeah. I mean, you know, those type of things lead to the drama and the mystique of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And when you only have 32 and a half cars, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I wish that they hadn't had the issue they did mechanically with the Wilson car, because I think they would have put up a speed that was
he would have not have been the slowest.
Yeah, he was going to have a very competent speed. And the Ray Hall team has had trouble that nobody saw coming as well. So it's been a very, very clean month. Up until Monday, we had 2 brushes of the wall. Yeah. I think Jimmy Johnson
and
had
one of
the
those
wall
brushes was
Sato.
Sato didn't hit it very hard at all.
And then Monday, TikTok superstar Dalton Kellett, who I have grown to appreciate and love because he's been a shit poster on TikTok. He's an engineering mind and he's an engineer graduate. So he's been explaining to people multiple page, like engineering diagrams, stuff Dakota would actually appreciate about the car and how things work about them. He's been breaking it down. He's not anywhere near the front of the grid, but he's been a measuring stick for Tatiana Calderon and Jimmy Johnson to have somebody in their class. But he lost the car on Monday.
Yeah.
Backed it into the wall. And once again, he scored brownie points with me because he blamed Ramon Grosjean for the crash, which I think is exactly what I would try to do.
Yeah. He tried. He said he thought he was going to back out. I'm like, so I thought I was like, so you would have backed out. So you expected him to back out, but he didn't back out. So yeah, you lost it. And I felt bad because it was at that point, I was like, man, nobody's hit the wall yet. And you kind of wait because you wait for that first one and you hope it's not bad.
We talked about, you and I had this conversation on Sunday going,
yeah, we're like nobody's hit the wall yet.
It has been a very clean month.
Just a couple brushes and nobody, I don't think anybody had really had any damage to the car. I think I heard that Jimmy's first brush that they had a hard time getting the wheel off, but yeah, whatever. It's not a big deal.
Blake, at some point somebody's going to catch the wall, and you almost hope it's a team that can afford to like a team that has the resources that can deal with it. Last year, Alex Palou hit the wall on the first day of qualifying, and he was back in there and qualified first 2 rows on Sunday.
Yeah. It's unfortunate with Kellett's situation because the AJ Foyt team is very scarce right now. What day was it? I think it was yesterday. I was talking to some of the AJ Foyt guys just down in the pits, and I asked him about the Stephen Wilson situation, like how could they not get the car back on track? Like Colton Herta did a full engine swap and was back out. I asked if it was the team itself or like what the situation was, and they assured me that it was not the team, that the team he has is actually very good. They're European sports car mostly, have been in the 500 before, but it's just not an IndyCar team.
He's got Dragon Speed, who won. I think they won Mid-Ohio 2 weeks ago in IMSA. They won the 24 Hours of Daytona this year. They've fielded
Brendan Hartley,
Ben Hartley, and we're confusing 2 names. Ben Hanley.
Okay, yeah.
Brendan Hartley, I think, was a Ganassi driver, but actually never got to the track. And then because he went up going Formula E, Formula One.
Something like that. Yeah.
Anyway,
Formula One.
He was in between Rosenquist and
yeah, they put a car
Canaan
solidly in the field last time we were here.
Yeah, but anyway, they were talking that all of Foyt's spare parts are in Stephen Wilson's car. So if anything goes wrong with anybody, they've got to either come up with it or just rebuild the car completely because they have no spares because their spare parts are in the 33rd position.
Well, Dalara's just down the street, I guess. They can go buy more parts and pieces. But yeah, that is a team that, usually was a 2-car effort. And then this year, I'm guessing because of the big rocket check, Tatiana Calderon came along and they added an extra car for her. The K-Line money's there for Dalton Kellett. And then Kyle Kirkwood is their stud rookie driver. And then they got leaned on pretty heavily by IndyCar to help facilitate coming up with equipment to get Dragon Speed on track.
Well, they also have JL Hildebrand, don't they?
Yeah, so Hildebrand is the oval driver for the Calderon,
right,
for the 11 car.
Right.
Yeah, so
which it may be the prettiest car.
It's a very good.
It's
car.
a very good looking car.
It's American.
ABC Supply.
Yeah, but not a lot of ABC Supply branding. Although their branding is red, white, and blue, so it's a very red, white, and blue car.
If you're wondering about the Cruise sunglasses that they're wearing, they're the 12 for $26 pack on Amazon. The American flag sunglasses that, the number 11 team's crew wears are 12 for $25 on Amazon. They absolutely love them.
If they work.
Yeah.
And then if you lose them or you break them who cares?
See, where else
$12.
can you get this kind of insight but from the McKown?
What I really need from Blake is access to the ice cream.
What ice cream you talking about? I've not seen any ice cream.
The Foyt ice cream.
Foyt always has ice cream.
Oh, I'm not with Foyt.
He has his own ice cream. He has like a mini ice cream stand in the first garage. That's what's
that would
hidden
make
behind
sense
the walls.
looking at AJ.
Yeah.
But no, I am under the grandstand in an absolute dungeon with a TV and water leaking on my head.
That's the dream. That was us on qualifications. And last week for the GP, that was us just sitting there.
Mind you, it took me 10 years to get to that dungeon.
He's unappreciative of his access,
I
isn't
can't
he?
handle it.
I've got a picture of my kids when they were like 3 years old sitting in the top floor of the pagoda in a suite. And Owen has no idea what he's doing. He's like, I'm just here. This is just where people go. I'm like, no, this is not where people go. Unappreciative. We work so much for our kids.
Have you been around the Foyt team? I've gotten modulated, Dakota. You're playing. What buttons are you pressing over there?
Nothing.
He's asleep.
He's a little bored over
No, he's played with my voice. I feel more powerful and radio-like. Have you hung out with the Foyt team on pit lane at all? Been anywhere near J.R. Hildebrand?
I mean, just in passing. I've been more with the Andretti, with Marco specifically. I've been with him a lot.
You haven't dropped a pit lane Jesus on JR yet?
No, I have not.
I talked to Pit Lane Jesus yesterday. I did not refer to him or Saturday or Sunday.
I mean, he's a very nice guy. Like he'll nod at me. Like he just
every single time I pass Dalton Kellett, I call him TikTok superstar, and he's rolling his eyes at me now at this point.
He's got some damn cool sunglasses on.
I have to see the new ones because I knew before he was into like the Repro 80s Vaporfly, whatever, the big monster mirrored ones. I'm like, I can't take this. Those weren't cool when I was in school. They're really not cool now.
I bought Zach a gift, and he's going to get it this weekend. The question is, it's a sticker. Does he want me to choose where it goes, and he just discovers it, or does he want to put it somewhere?
Yeah, don't stick it anywhere. Don't stick anything on my property. I've got an underbelly of the camper that'd be great.
It's got to go somewhere.
It's a Dalton Kellett sticker.
I got you a Dalton Kellett sticker and a Charlie Kimball. It's a twofer.
Oh, jeez. How much did they pay you to take those?
They were on the sale rack.
I bet they were for about 25 cents each, probably.
They're going somewhere.
We love Charlie Kimball.
I don't.
Great guy. Absolute great guy.
Yeah, he might be a great guy, but ask some of his fellow drivers what they think of him. He's the kind of guy that they get warned when he's in the vicinity.
Speaking of
like Sato.
Speaking of drivers that people don't like, Zach Paul Tracy
is sad.
Has been he was in the news over the weekend, and it's like watching a car crash, Dakota, where there's certain things on Instagram you just watch because you know it's traumatic.
I actually unfollowed him on Instagram a couple months ago because there's not a lot of value in it. But last month he did the same thing. You just picture him sitting at home, drinking, playing replays of the 2002 Indianapolis 500 finish, and like screaming at the TV and throwing a empty bottle at it because he's angry at the result still. So the Paul Tracy official Instagram page, yesterday, he posted a Indy Star article that I think he had something to do with getting written. The headline is, Paul Tracy still adamant he won the Indy 500 in 2002. But Elio climbed the fence. Why did that happen? And this is all linked. If you're a Patreon, you've got all these in the show notes. There's a little clickable link in the folder, and you can flip through and see
all of the Instagram stuff because I think Paul at some point is going to have to delete these out of shame. But we screenshotted it for you just in case.
It's when he gets his.
Can you
account
explain this? This was before I was born.
So in 2002, Paul Tracy was was in the what is now the Andretti Autosport team.
Okay.
Racing against Elio Castroneves in the Penske car. Elio was the first year that they had kind of reunited, or some teams had started to jump ship.
Team Cool Green.
So the Penske had become an IRL team again. There were entrants from the kart teams that had come over and were in the Indy 500, but they were not full season entries. So Paul Tracy was essentially a one-off. Elio was in a fuel save mode. Lap 199, a couple cars crashed. They're going into turn 3, and there's this question as to whether or not Elio lifted just because he was saving fuel and lifted, and Paul Tracy passed him going into 3 just as the yellow flag comes out. Controversial, questionable, perhaps. But Paul Tracy passes him around the outside going into turn 3. Probably a 25-mile-an-hour speed difference between the two cars. The IRL rules, Paul Tracy passed under yellow. The yellow was already out. They set it back. Lap under caution. Elio wins the race. Paul Tracy finishes second. And for the last 20 years, he said, I won the Indy 500. So,
and he's still.
This is 2002. It's 2022 now.
Yeah.
He is. And it's not just like a Mario Andretti, Bobby Unser, like, haha, I won the Indy 500, get over it, which is probably what should be the example of this, and people became friends. Paul Tracy is just now a bitter old man.
Well, because then that was Elio going back to back, and then now he's a 4-time winner, and he's just an upbeat guy. And then Paul Tracy had the same like meltdown last year. Last year, it was like, you probably don't know what the Zapruder film is, like with JFK, when you see somebody, but you picture him just watching this in slow-mo, and he was posting like frame by frame last year, trying to plead his case for something that's now 2 decades old.
Yeah, you can't
and he's
just take him off the Borg Warner.
So he was doing that. I think it was reviewed at the time, and
it was
looked
appealed,
into, and yeah.
Now it was Brian Barnhart, and it was.
I don't
the
think they
family.
made it official till the next day, did they?
So the Indianapolis Star article says that they waited a few hours that evening. They made it official at probably 8-9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it was
an official,
controversial for a while.
Paul Tracy says this article's happened now. All I need to know is that Elio refused to comment and that Roger Penske refused to comment. And I'm looking at it going, well, no shit, they refused to comment.
It's 20 years.
It's 20 years
They're
ago.
getting ready to run in the 106 running.
Well,
500.
Roger Penske now owns the track. He doesn't want to rehash this again. Every time Paul wants to talk about it, everybody else doesn't have to talk about the damn thing, right? But Roger has the first time since he bought the track 2.5 years ago that he has full stands. He has something to celebrate, and he's got his former driver belly aching over another driver winning. It's time's up, right? Like you're done.
And Elio made a comment. I think he said, "Sorry, Paul," or something like that after he won last year. And some people were kind of mad at him about it for saying it, but I was like, he's seen himself get drugged through the mud on social media by him saying, it's just like, yeah.
So that's post number 1.
Have you ever seen Paul Tracy's girlfriend's post? Him and his girlfriend?
They are.
I don't really.
I thought
those do not look like girls from around here.
No,
around
they
these parts.
do not.
Speaking of girlfriends, have we caught Marco Andretti's new girlfriend?
Yeah.
Textbook.
I could pick her out. I could pick her out of a lineup. Yeah.
Chanel shoes and Fendi bag in the pits.
Yeah, Lululemon. Yeah.
Well, I was wearing Lululemon. Like, come on, I'm wearing it right now.
She was wearing like. Yeah, I looked. I was like, "Who's this?" I'm like,
I went up to the PR girl. I was like, "This Marco's new girl," and she goes, "How'd you know?" I was like, "Very textbook."
Well, kissing Marco would be the first signal of that.
Well,
probably the
I
deal.
didn't see that.
All right. So Paul Tracy says his next post is NBCSports.com, which essentially has a rebuttal saying, "Here's what happened." So Indy Star does the article. Nate Ryan cleans it up a little bit, and then Paul says, "Well, they didn't call me." Well, no, because he didn't call in the other one. And then it starts the entire Zapruder film again, where he posts, and then he goes to the effort of posting the next, once again, he goes back to 3 more posts.
And they're grainy because it's 20 years old.
Well, to Paul's defense, the real problem is that nobody cares that he's still mad at Ernie Francis Jr. from SRX either, so.
Was instant replay in the NFL at this time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but in the NFL, instant replay was still irrefutable visual evidence. Then the IRL basically said, that's too close to call. So here is the ultimate in pettiness, Blake. If you can read this here, he framed the photo of him passing Elio.
Jesus Christ.
And he has this on display.
The real winners. That's...
And I think
Okay, but let's go back to Scott.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just an intern.
Let's
you're on the payroll. You're not allowed to have an opinion.
I'm not.
Let's
allowed
go
to have
back
an
to
opinion.
Scott Goodyear. Goodyear did win the 500. He got beat by Little Al once by 2 feet, and then he came back and passed the pace car and would have won the race, but they called him back for passing the pace car. Scott Goodyear is not on Channel 13 at night talking about, I won the 500.
Twice.
No, he's actually very gracious about his loss to Al Unser Jr.
Correct.
In a race that he never qualified for either.
Correct.
Mike Groff did. Is it Mike Groff? He jumped in the car Mike Groff qualified as an emergency backup car.
It was him or Davy Jones. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was
which.
Mike Groff.
Okay.
It was not Davey. So yeah, but yeah, there are some weird things that have happened in this race.
And Scott Goodyear is still on TV some, and Paul Tracy isn't.
Paul Tracy is now out of work.
I'm guessing for good reason.
Nobody's crying.
Well, he said he's had scheduling conflicts or something like that. He's also a guy who's habitually has horrible things pop up on social media, and then when the crap hits the fan, he got hacked. He got hacked like 3 times in a year. It was shocking, but none of the things that were being said while he was hacked were actually out of character for him.
He should probably change his password from real winner. That's my guess.
And he almost got. They didn't bring him back for IndyCar like last year. They're going to bring him back part time, and then they decided to bring him back full time. And so he bought a new. He's into boats. He has a big He doesn't actually use it offshore, but he has a big power boat, and his new one's called Cancel This. And so he's just one of those kind of guys.
They took Hinchcliffe instead. Hinchcliffe
and Hinch
has
is great.
I think I'd rather have Hinch on the mic
Correct.
than
Much
Paul
better.
Tracy.
Much better.
No
Canadian
headache.
And,
you don't
and
have to
face
worry
of the
about
series.
You don't have to worry about Hinch going on a drunken social media rant.
All right, let's. This is the chance for Zach to tell me if I'm taking too much offense on behalf of all the bronze badge holders. You're a bronze badge holder, Zach.
Yes.
You also are an incredibly gifted winner of every lottery that IndyCar Nation has. So this didn't ultimately affect you.
Luckily.
But it very well could have.
It affected people I knew.
Have bronze badge holders gotten the shaft this year, or should they not expect any more than just, hey, you can get in the garage area and you can get in the grounds?
I think they got the shaft, but not an intentional thing. I think that it highlighted one, people's assumption that things don't change at the track, and 2, IMS's inability to communicate changes to their staff. Because what apparently, so they have off and on since they went to this new format. So back in the day, as we talked about, pole day used to be the Saturday, and so the pole sitter knew what was going on. Well, they started doing these shootouts, and these shootouts are always on Sunday afternoon. And so the pole sitter, the guys going for the pole, normally once you qualified and you were good, if you're on first weekend, you'd spend the next week or weekend when you had downtimes, you just go out and practice and work on your race setup. So these guys wouldn't have the chance. So now they start doing this Monday practice, and the Monday practice is awesome. And they said, hey, we're going to let the bronze badge holders get on pit lane that day.
And there was notice of it.
Notice it, and it turned into and they'd be like, or just, they would send out a tweet.
Where you would be like, hey, I'm going to plan on taking Monday off.
Yep.
And I'm going to go to the track because I know that I'm going to get this extra access.
Yes. And so and I think they thought, how many people are going to show up because it wasn't a big deal. Bronze badge holders, for the most part, are fairly respectful. We're all super stoked to be there.
They're the diehards. The bronze badge guys are the diehards.
And I mean, for me, I get to the track enough that I do the math every year. I'm like, oh, I feel bad. But it's only like $20 more than me just going to the track the days I'm already going to go to the track. Because it gets you in the track every day. So they had that Monday deal, and that practice then went away for COVID, and then it came back, and the assumption was across the board, bronze badge holders are going to get into pit lane that day. And there's a guy who I follow, Facebook friends. He's a member of a
Scotty.
Yeah,
Scotty blew it up.
He's a member. He's a member of the crew. Of team crew, and he's
been a crew member for over 30 years. Yeah, in a Category 5 super.
He might be the greatest social media advocate for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway I've ever seen. The dude is posting stuff like mad, like he's there every day, or he's posting something IMS related for the last 6 weeks about every day.
I thought he worked in the gift shop because there's always something.
No, he keeps updating on merch, where the merch is. He's like, oh look, new merch at the store, and he's by the way, check out the merch at the Kroger in Crawfordsville. He keeps you up to date. There's no more information being given than this guy's Facebook account. He's fantastic. So he says, and I believe him 110%. He went to the credentials office this month and said, hey, is this the deal? And they said, yep. And then I stopped and spoke to a yellow shirt that I recognized who always works that Monday. I talked to her Sunday afternoon. I said, hey, is this going to get me on pit lane tomorrow? And she's like, yep. And there had been a day on the first day of practice, they let bronze badge holders on pit lane, and nobody knew about it until the last minute. And including, like, I knew people that were at the track and got told after they'd been at the track for a while, oh, they just told us you guys are allowed on pit lane today. Apparently that was the day. And I even saw somebody posted a picture of some paperwork that had come with the bronze badge. I don't know where they got the paperwork because I didn't get any of that. That said that was a day. So that had replaced, apparently, the Monday. They didn't tell anybody. And so
I received a bronze badge and I got no indication.
I got no
of
paperwork.
That special date.
Yeah. And so somebody showed me that. Somebody also posted a picture of like the official, if you've ever seen what the official track schedules look like, they're a spreadsheet with like 18 different colors on them. And it was
absolutely confusing to read.
Absolutely horribly confusing. But they had zoomed in on Monday, bronze badge holders, pit lane access. And it was apparently published on like May 2nd. And apparently it had gone back and forth. So there was a lot of confusion on Monday, and a lot of bronze badge holders, I think, were there because they thought they were going to get on pit lane, and they didn't.
Can I add something?
And 700 old guys that have old timers bronze badges didn't get to go on today or Monday and thought they would.
Yeah. And so
Doug Bowles replied to a tweet, and he said, y'all had Tuesday. It was never the intention for you guys to have Monday.
Well, he also said that this day wasn't on the schedule. When we put it on the schedule, we didn't think to move it to that. We just left it on the Tuesday. But if we do in the future, we will have it on this day. So he kind of admitted, he's like, hey, but yeah, we should have probably done that.
And then because of the rain mess that happened on GP Day, bronze badge holders also didn't get a grid walk.
Yeah.
So,
and see, I thought when they did the Tuesday thing, that was maybe a payback for the grid walk. And it's like, first of all, I'm much more likely to take a Monday off than a Tuesday. Tuesday's in the middle of my work week. But I wouldn't care if I was the only one that knew or was confused. But yellow shirts didn't know. Crew members, people didn't know. Nobody knew.
It was not communicated well.
So somebody, I don't doubt that the decision was made, like the Doug Bowles and a couple other levels below the Doug Bowles level, but they should have, knowing how weird and traditional Indy 500 fans are. They should say, oh, by the way, guys, you need to know this Monday practice, since initially we weren't having it, but they announced the Monday practice like 2 weeks ago, I think. We're doing the pit lane day on Tuesday, and even if that Monday practice comes around, because they, like I said, they didn't announce it for a couple of weeks, but they needed to put that on blast.
So, Mike, what credential did the old timers have that they were not allowed to?
If you are no longer working,
do you have a gold badge?
No, you have a bronze badge.
Okay.
So, like the day after the race, I can go get my bronze badge. Because I now earn one for life. But when you work, you get a silver.
You've got something to get you.
So all of the old timers today at the barbecue we tried to get in yesterday and we couldn't, but they also don't let walkers through, or wheelchairs through.
No, they let wheelchairs in. I had a guy on an electric scooter that was in the middle of the way for a tugger coming through, and I thought he was going to die.
Really? So they
I had to move tires for him to
have somewhere to
pull
go.
up,
Yeah,
so a tugger could come through. I was like, I understand, like, we're trying to advocate for everybody and like give everybody the experience, but that's a hazard.
Well, maybe they had to change the rules for the car owner that's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, and he has a driver or former driver. But like, yeah, I saw Robbie was on pit lane, and Robbie goes to the pit box, parks his wheelchair to the side, and hops up in the chair. And I saw.
He's looking great, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, dude's phenomenal.
But it was like, it turned to me after hearing everything, and like everybody that I'd heard about on the Tuesday said it was a last minute change, and then everything that I heard on like every university said they've been changing their mind up and down, and then here's a picture of a schedule that had it, and then I saw one guy post a picture of paperwork saying that like looked like what you would get when you looked on the website. But I even looked on the website and I saw nothing like of a daily schedule of what bronze badge access was. So it was just, if you're going to make that decision, that's cool. You need to tell people and make sure that even your yellow shirts know, because everybody assumed it was the case until they were told otherwise.
Yellow shirts, black shirts.
Yeah, from my standpoint.
Really anybody with a whistle.
We get every day there's a new like just calendar posted, like what's allowed, what's not. It's
there's a laminated placard I saw, and it gave everywhere. And they would just tear off each day.
And originally, like yesterday morning, we're told bronze badges are allowed in, but not while the track's hot. And I was like, okay, that's a little weird. But then I also looked, the pit and garage pass was allowed in, but not while the track was hot. So the gold badge, the supervisor calls up to Pagoda Command, and as people are walking in, we get the word no bronze badges whatsoever, and pit and garage passes are good.
That tells me it's an institutional problem, not a fan didn't read their mail. I didn't get anything. I renewed my bronze badges, and then when I went to pick it up, it was in a little baggie, slightly bigger than the badge, and they said, here you go, and I got no paperwork. So if you're going to change things, tell me, because I'm a creature. That's the weird thing about bronze badges, is there's like a very short list of things that get you. It gets you in the track every day, it gets you in garage, and then it still even said it gets you in an hour early into the track. Somebody said they got turned away. I think what gates you're allowed to go into has changed a couple times. I've used the hour early thing, because if they have infield parking, you show up 15 minutes early and you get front row to park. But then there's all these little other things that they've given and taken away throughout the years. And when you don't put stuff in writing, then it makes people angry when stuff.
And then when you go to social media to try to figure it out,
I bet Doug Bowles got blown up, because I tweeted at him too. I was like, is there a reason why this got taken away? And it turns out, and I understand when he explained what had happened, but I would have thought that would have been something that they would immediately addressed, or at least say, hey, by the way, we're doing this on Tuesday, not on Monday. Even though we're having the Monday practice, we're leaving the pit lane act, the bronze is silver day for Tuesday.
It wasn't communicated well, and I'll give them that. But you guys have to realize that Doug Bowles is the best communicator that we've ever had there.
I don't think it was a Doug Bowles problem. That's not a Doug Bowles level problem. That's that's the yellow shirt. That's the security. Whoever's in charge of security and access, that's his problem. That's not a Doug Bowles problem. So I don't blame Doug. Doug's the whipping boy, because Doug's on Twitter and Doug's active and Doug answers questions.
He's the face
of the track, and he's super accessible. So he's the one that's getting blown up on Twitter, because I don't know who else on Twitter to blow up to ask about that.
So Mike, let's talk about what your weekend's going to look like. What days are you there? When do you show up? I know we've long talked about how you shoot from the island on the north end of the racetrack. What's your weekend look like as an IMS photographer?
So I'll be there Friday morning early. We'll do all of the final practice. After practice, I usually, when they get ready to start pit stop and stuff, I will usually switch out all my camera gear and go to more of a portrait type setting, and I'll go shoot driver headshots and girlfriend headshots and that sort of stuff to get myself ready. On Saturday, I will not do much. I think Friday afternoon when I leave the track, I'm going to go to the memorabilia show. I love that show. I've been there for years.
New location now. It's not in Indianapolis at all. It's out in Plainfield.
It's in Plainfield at the hotel. So I'll go do that. Saturday, I drink a lot of Gatorade and a lot of water. I clean every camera. I charge every battery. I get my war wagon ready, because I actually carry a wagon in that has all my equipment.
It's quite comical. You see, if it wasn't me, I'd be like, what the hell is this dude doing with a wagon? But like, I know the backstory and why.
He doesn't have any beer on it.
No,
it's all just camera.
It's all camera equipment, and it's just funny to see.
Very heavy.
It's funny to see him waddling down pit lane, tugging a wagon behind him, because he looks
So do you take the entire wagon and the contents of it to the island with you?
Yes.
You lift it up over the wall and in?
No, I'm not in between. I'm on the pit wall.
You're on the pit wall. Okay.
So I'll set everything up. I used to first, and I don't know what it'll be this year, but I used to the first pit stops come back and get the first 4 or 5 pits. But I'll take the grid walk. I'll go ahead and probably tie the fire suit around my waist and not totally be ready and go out and shoot celebrities. I mean, I've got some pretty nice stuff of some pretty cool people like presidents and Russell Crowe and Jessica Simpson and, you know, the Kardashians and Muhammad Ali. And
Blake, do you have confidence that your dad can pick the celebrities out, the modern celebrities that are there?
See, I told him who the honorary starter was, and he goes, "Who's that?"
Because
I don't know who that is.
The new green flag waiver is there. He's in the Top Gun movie, and I had no clue.
What's he?
I was gonna say in my defense.
What's his name?
Miles.
In my defense, he's in a movie. He's in a movie I will see. I will be aware of him at some point. But the movie comes out 2 days before He Waves the Flag. It officially comes out Friday.
He has been in a lot of stuff that I have seen. I can't tell you what it is, but
well, you know, you have to put it in context. 1 year, Associated Press gave me the Yep guy from
Dave from
Dave Hester
Storage Wars.
Storage Wars. I mean,
I wouldn't know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten all sorts. I got the guys from Orange County Choppers once.
Dakota, do you have any idea who Miles Teller is? Does that name ring a bell to you?
No idea.
Okay.
Can I see his picture real quick?
Because they had Jack Nicholson do this once. They've had
Matt Damon.
They've had Matt Damon.
Christian Bale did it.
And then it's this guy, and he's going to be is he the son of Goose?
Yes, I believe so. And the new
And
Top
he must
Gun.
do some makeup because in that picture he looks nothing like Goose, but in the previews for the movie, the guy walks in. I'm like, oh crap! They have the son of Goose in here. I knew immediately. I'm like, oh, that's who that character is.
He was in War Dogs with Jonah Hill. He's in the Fantastic Four.
I did see War Dogs.
He's the guy from Project X.
Haven't seen any of these.
Okay, Project X is the greatest.
Okay, so
movie
Was he in
of all
any
time.
kids movies? That's my
So
wheelhouse.
I'll probably
right
be
now.
with Linda Vaughn or somebody because I don't know who this character is.
She's there. You're gonna have to do some touching up.
So my race day becomes fast and furious. It really does. You know, after sitting on the sideline for 2 years with COVID, and you know, the first year Blake and I actually sat on the outside of the fence, which was a new perspective for me. And last year I went with Addie and her boyfriend, and Angie and myself went, and we were sitting there, and I was just really bummed because I saw all these fat old guys that had credentials and I didn't, and took off for a walk, kicking cans and cussing under my breath.
Kicking
and
rocks.
look over, and there's a bunch of state police, and they all part ways, and there stands Mike Pence, who says, "Hi, Mike." And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm not good enough to photograph the race this year because of COVID protocol, but the vice president knows who I am. So, you know, it's a difficult thing for me, but there is nothing like race day for me.
But you're back now.
I'm back.
So you had to live like us, like the poors, for like 2 years.
Yeah,
and it nearly killed you.
and nearly killed me.
He cried. Like,
Yeah.
he was distraught.
I was distraught last year.
Well, now you can cry over the balloons not going up.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
Me either. I really could care less.
That triggered a whole bunch of people, and you know what shocked me is that they thought they were coming back.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's going away.
Yeah,
that's
that's
gone
never-
forever. They're going to take this opportunity.
It's dead with with Zach's trackside camping for the harvest.
You know, I thought that the marketing team in the IMS did a really good job with that commercial this year.
The back home again.
Oh.
Like, that got me.
You know,
so
when you hear
fired up.
Roger Penske talk in that commercial and that back home, I mean, that is my family's interpretation.
Is that Roger Penske?
Yes,
That's not
it
Roger
is.
Penske.
That is David Letterman.
That's David
It's
Letterman.
David Letterman.
That's David Letterman.
It's not Roger. Roger has a very
It's David Letterman.
That's David Letterman.
You graduated from
that's the
college.
Best, that's the best Easter
That's the
egg.
second most famous person out of Ball State next to me.
Old white men also.
That was
saying
to me.
Mike.
To me, that was the greatest Easter egg of that is that they don't reference who that is at all. And you listen to it and you listen. I'm like, that's David Letterman.
Wow, I
Good
thought
for
it was
Dave.
Penske.
No,
But regardless of which, I mean,
it is fantastic. That
Do
is
your
a-
emotions change in any way?
yes.
that it's not Penske?
Yes.
I'd like it better than being Dave. I like it better as Dave.
Still a car owner.
I posted a picture of myself with Letterman one time and said the two most famous people from Ball State.
I had to take the picture.
Him for a late night gig and me for the most parking tickets ever at Ball State University.
Yeah. When I realized Dave's born Hoosier, grew up not that far from the track, and still is around. And the last time I got to do a grid walk for the Grand Prix, ran into Dave, and he was snarky to my sister-in-law, which is the best. She walked up to him and said, "Chirp, chirp." He's like, "That means nothing to me." It's just deadpan, like, "That's Dave." And I think I said, "Hey, glad to see you at the track." And he was nice enough to me, but I didn't expect much out of him. Yeah. So that video, though, if people haven't seen it, starts out with Elio humming "Back Home Again, Indiana," and it's spectacular. It's IMS Productions does.
They played it at our orientation,
Yeah.
and like there's kids around me who that was their first time at the track, was for orientation, and I'm sitting there getting teared up and goosebumps all over me.
There's people crying in the video.
I mean, I'm not supposed to have reactions and not supposed to be like starstruck for my job this year, but I will be crying when they play Back Home Again in Indiana. I already know.
Jeremiah, it's a little different for us. You know, my Uncle Jim was a photographer there for 57 years, and his brother John was more than 50. And, you know, we started this show, I don't even know what year, but in 18, Addie was an intern with Ed Carpenter and ended up
I think
on the
18
pole.
was our first year. Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, this week I got to go back, and I'm down there and I turn around and Blake's in headsets working. I mean, it's a big deal for our family. It always has been. And it's an emotional time for me. You know, I realized the very first time I was there illegally on a badge from the Courier Times as a 15 or 16-year-old, and I took this picture of this guy that was sitting in a car and had an umbrella in his hand, and he went out and hit the wall and died. It was Gordon Smiley. That was the first image I ever photographed at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
1982. The thing in motorsports that Zach and I both listened to Dinner with Racers, and I think the lasting key in all of it is that stuff started with a fib. It was a little lie. Everybody snuck into the garage area. Everybody's first credential wasn't entirely on the up and up.
Right.
Fake it till you make it. And there's so many of those people that are like, yeah, they said, "Have you ever driven a sports car?" "Oh yeah, I've got plenty of sports car experience." Or like, "Oh yeah, I've done this," and like none of them did, or they lied about how a lot of them lied how old they were to get a license. And then who was the one I just saw, like, they faked they just started making up. They looked up the schedule for their SCCA license, and they had to keep a log. And they just started writing down races that were on the schedule and just putting in that they did them. And then they got their license.
Boris said.
Yeah, Boris said. Yeah,
Boris said
on Dale Jr. Now he's like faked. I mean, completely just he got his national license on like 2 races.
He literally just got out the album of the year and like, "Yep, I was at that one. Yep, I was at that one. Yep, I was at that one."
Probably one of the best road racers in the history of the world.
Your little white lie with the Courier is nothing. I think we snuck my sister in on a bronze badge when she was 13, and we just had her practice.
There are kids with the pit and garage passes who are not a day over 12, and I can't say a word.
We just had her practice her birth date, and they asked her birth date, and she said the right number, and it was fine. She did get questioned once.
You can get kids in the garage at like 9. But
they have changed that now in more recent years.
Apparently, at one point, it's like you had to like sign your life away, and now it's just like, sign here that you won't sue us if something happens to your kid.
You know, they used to kick out for shorts. They used to kick out for open-toe shoes. They used to kick out for a lot of things.
Kick out for being
I
a
saw
woman.
a guy barefoot in pit lane. I was just
that's really gutsy.
He was in scrubs and barefoot, and I go, I wanted to be like, "Sir, what the hell are you doing?"
I think you saw pit lane Jesus. All right, let's talk about some gambling. This is something that did not legally exist when we started the show 5 years ago, and now we have DraftKings, and there are legitimate lines.
And we have Caesars Sportsbook at the track.
At the track, you have Caesars, and there are a number of places you can take this action, Dakota. But the cool thing that they have now is they have groups. You can pick from a group of winners, so head to head, and you can say, "Hey, there's a group of drivers, and which one of these is going to finish ahead of the others?" You could have Pato Award, Joseph Newgarden, Renus VK, or Willpower. Just straight up one of those four if they beat the other ones. If Willpower is your pick out of that, you put $1 down, you win $3.50. So $10 pays out 35. The other three could crash out and Will could finish 10th. You made $35.
Wow.
That's pretty neat. Group B, Colton Herta, Takuma Sato, Jimmy Johnson, Scott McLaughlin. Now, what I want to know is, as you guys hear these, is there anybody that like, yep, that's the absolute winner out of that group?
Colton Herta is the winner in that group.
Over Takuma, Scotty, and Jimmy?
Takuma is waiting for a crash.
All right. Every year you
Jimmy's
think
waiting
that.
for a crash.
And Scott, you don't know. So you think Colton. Colton is the favorite in that.
Yep.
He's basically 2.4 to 1. Group C, Felix Rosenquist, Roman Grosjean, Alex Rossi, Simon Pagenaud.
I have Pagenaud coming up.
Rossi.
I think Rossi's real hungry. I'll tell you, that Group B is like, that's a killer set over like Pato Ward, Joseph Newgarden, Renus VK, Willpower. That's a pretty decent one. I don't know about Pato on a 500-mile race yet, but like Colton Herta, Sato obviously can win it. He's won it twice. Colton Herta's hungry. Had a heck of a Grand Prix. Scott McLaughlin should have won Texas last year in his first oval. And then Jimmy
should have won this year.
And then Jimmy Johnson, he's got a lot of haters, but I think I saw the statistic. He's done more 500-mile races than the rest of the field combined.
Nowhere even
In a
close.
golf cart. In a NASCAR.
Yeah, but like he's got the long game down. He's had a good month of May.
Kurt Busch.
He's never done 500 miles this fast, though.
Kurt Busch
was like a top
finished
5 car,
sixth.
or top 10 car. So yeah, I think
without having sat in a car for a year and a half. Jimmy Johnson has been in an Indy car. I don't discount him. A top 10 is very reasonable expectation.
And if you're in the top 10,
me.
and if you're in the top 10 with 20 laps to go, and unless it's real stretched out, it's you've got, and then like his last year, Elliott won on experience. He just outmaneuvered Alex Palou at the end, and it was just he knew what he was doing, and that was Alex's first turbo time in contention. I think that you get Jimmy Johnson 100 laps in that race, and he'll start figuring out that math of can I pass, when can I pass, how can I do that stuff. He'll be formulating that, and they've already said I think that they're going to start doing. I know that Ed Carpenter said they're going to start doing like race sims on Carb Day. They
were doing it yesterday.
They're going to start figuring out that stuff, and I think that when it comes to the brain part, Jimmy Johnson's got as much experience in that regard. I know he was going slower, but I think he's got that year in IndyCar last year, and then all of a sudden he did ovals, and obviously at Texas it clicked. So all of a sudden he's like, okay, I've got this experience in this car. Now I'm doing something that I'm very familiar with, and the speed will come. That's his brain's adjusted.
All right, so head-to-heads. They've just straight up head-to-head, not a group, just head-to-head. You could have Scott McLaughlin versus Ed Carpenter. Do you have a pick? Do you have a gut feel?
Carpenter.
Carpenter's going to see. Scotty finished top 3 at Texas. Sato versus Kanan.
Kanan. He's my pick.
All right. Rossi versus Rahal.
Rossi.
Mike just wants Rahal to hit and turn 4 again. Like
I just want
first 3
Rahal
years.
to not.
Pagenaud versus Castroneves. Equal equipment. That's a tough one.
Castroneves.
I've got Pagenaud.
How crazy
of a Pagenaud is sneaky quick. I think he can surprise a lot of people in that second.
Pagenaud's problem is if it was a 505-mile race, he'd be like a 4-time winner because he's in this shot at the end a lot, but he's just getting to the shot at the end because I think he was coming last year, the year before he was coming out of nowhere. So that would be a crazy showdown as those two.
Dakota Pato Award versus Renus VK.
I don't know either of those names.
Those are the 2 new young studs.
I've never heard those names
4.
in my entire life.
Patricio Award, the young Mexican, versus the front row starter, Renus VK, the Dutchman.
Sure, I'll go with the Dutch guy.
Good pick.
That's a good pick.
I think I'd go with VK too. I think
he's hitting 243, 244 going in.
I think he's crazier than Pato.
And that's hard to beat.
And the right kind of crazy.
That's hard to beat.
Jack Harvey versus Kyle Kirkwood.
Harvey.
I got Kyle Kirkwood. I don't think the Ray Hall cars are going to be. We've not talked about Christian Lundgaard. He might put a 198 up. Like, he is not quick whatsoever.
Jimmy Johnson versus Marcus Ericsson.
Marcus Ericsson.
Marcus.
I would actually make that bet is Marcus
So
Ericsson.
it's not a straight up. It's Marcus Ericsson negative 130 or Jimmy Johnson plus 100. So it is a massive swing for Jimmy. That is a very advantageous if you take Jimmy. Like it's a double as good for Jimmy if that one. All right, this is the toughest one because I think it's actually the two favorites. Scott Dixon versus Alex Palou, head to head.
Dixon. Iceman, 100%.
Oh man, yeah. I think that like 3 out of 5 that's Dixon. Alex,
but I think
Alex.
I think we're going to hit that 2 out of 5 this year. With
I bet
Palou.
Alex has watched the film of the last 10 laps of last year's race over and over again and has figured out what he didn't know.
Grosjean versus Rosenquist.
Yeah.
So
I've got Grosjean in that.
Grosjean is so that's if assuming you're of legal age to do this sort of thing. That Grosjean is a plus 100 versus a negative 130. So that is a big Grosjean advantage if you like it. All right. So here's the official. I've been watching the lines all month as we're getting close. Now qualifying's in the books, and as of this morning, your favorite to win the Indy 500, 5.5 to 1, is Scott Dixon.
As it should be.
Right behind him is Alex Palou at plus 600. But in third, they have Pato O'Ward, which is insane to me. He's shown me nothing on ovals. He's shown me nothing at the Indy 500. And they've got him at third.
They're strong this month. Both of them in the Fast 12, but
Rinus VeeKay is your fourth, 11 to 1. Joseph Newgarden, 12 to 1. Will Power, 14 to 1.
I like to see Newgarden get one.
Are the Penske's good enough to win at this point?
You never count out a Penske.
Didn't want to say that last year, and they were just dog crap until Pagano charged at the very end. But they were never in contention to even lead laps. And they haven't been much better this year.
I don't think this is their year. I think if this is their year, we'd know about it. I mean, yeah, they got enough running before.
But yeah, so this is where it's interesting. Colton Herta is next on the list in favorites, and then Scott McLaughlin. Tied with Scott McLaughlin is Jimmy Johnson.
So you're telling me that all these guys are ahead of Tony Kanaan?
Tony Kanaan is all the way down at these guys are all ahead of Tony.
I'm gonna bet.
So if we go
Tony Kanaan's plus 2,000.
Yeah, so 20 to 1.
I'll take it.
The biggest disadvantage for Tony Kanaan, and I know a guy on his crew, is that his crew is just assembled. So they do like 5 to 8 pit stops. I know the guy that I know on this team is a stud of a guy. Like he works high level teams. He just is choosing to not be a full time crew guy. But 5 to 8 pit stops is a lot.
But they've got a couple of Andretti guys on there. They've got some other people on there. Former Andretti guys, I'm saying.
Well, one of the guys is a former Dixon crew member. So he's got a solid crew. That's his, but
I'll tell you what I look at who's quiet but stealthy. And I guarantee you that Kanaan has tried to stay out of the spotlight and is making laps and coming through the turn as smooth as anybody. And Kanaan is last year's Helio for me.
Mine, Marcus Ericsson. I think he didn't show out on pole day. He wasn't very quick, but I think he has just been sneaky quick and has just been putting up
what's
lap
Ericsson
after
at?
lap. Plus 1,800, 18 to 1.
He and Kanaan are both
right at the same odds, but Ericsson's in a Ganassi, and it's going to be damn hard to beat Ganassi.
Elio was 38 to 1 last year.
So at the very bottom of the chart, the true underdogs according to Vegas, these are all 100 to 1. Actually, there's a 30 to 1, a 300 to 1 rather, and it's Steph Wilson. Dalton Kellett is 200 to 1.
Accurate.
And then at the 100 to 1 level, you have Callum Ilott, Sage Karam, Jack Harvey, Devlin DeFrancisco, Christian Lundgaard, Kyle Kirkwood, J.R. Hildebrand, and Sage Karam. If I missed
and Ilott's better than some of those.
Ilott's got some good speed under him. He's just in the Juncos car.
And
is any one of those have any puncher's chance to any of you? Are they the Rich Strike of the Indy 500? Do you feel like any of them has has a path to victory if we're talking in our political world over here?
Sage Karam.
I think Iowa probably could. It depends on how well the team operates and his strategy operates, because that's the one thing you just don't know is like how good are they on strategy.
When you said Sage Karam, Zach just twitched a little.
Don't like him either.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Sage Karam. He's always fast. Now, he may crash.
The Dry and Rhine Bowl cars are top 10 cars.
They are.
And they always have been.
And I have I've gotten to know some of the guys on the team, and like they've thrown me inside information, and they are a lot smarter than people think. And I think out of the underdogs, he would be a very, very solid pick if you were to take one.
And their other car is Santino Ferrucci, who is 60-1.
I would give Santino. And I'm not a big Santino fan. I would bet on Santino before I bet on Sage.
Yeah, but Santino's always there in the end.
Yeah. He what did he do? Did he get top 5 at Texas? And he got called on Saturday afternoon or something like that?
Right.
He took over Harvey's car because he had a concussion.
Yeah.
Other local favorite, Connor Daly, is 50-1 to win. So $1 on Connor pays out $50, Dakota, if you're into that sort of action. That also gets you Marco Andretti.
I love Connor Daly and I love Marco Andretti, but neither one of them are there.
6-1 for Connor to be top 5.
I could see him doing that because I'd love to know what happened. I think I heard an interview, but I don't remember what happened. But he thought he just didn't have it on Saturday. They should have had all 3 of those cars in the Fast 12.
$1 on Steph Wilson to finish in the top 5 pays out $30.
Yeah, that's donating $1.
Yeah, you know what though? The 500's weird.
Yeah,
weird things happen at the 500, and he was a caution away from winning a couple of years ago. So
I said the same thing about Richie Hearn, and he got like second or third 4 or 5 times.
What if I told you could get, if you put $10 on Juan Montoya for a top 5, it'd pay out $100?
I'd tell you there's no way that'll ever happen in my game.
It's a bunch of left turns, Zach. It's not that weird.
Weird stuff happens there. And just
weird stuff like the car that leads the most laps last year has a car leave pit road, lose a tire, and smoke him in the front, and the guy finishes 9th instead of winning the race.
Yeah. Poor Connor got hit by the tire on his nose.
J.R. Hildebrand has one turn to go.
And his spotter starts celebrating.
Yes.
And then Charlie Campbell gets in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the middle of the line.
All right, Dakota, I need you to pull up your fantasy IndyCar. This is an important week on your app, and you're going to make your picks live with the fans.
You think I downloaded an app?
It's not the app. It's fantasy.indycar.com. Same thing you've done every time.
You get forced.
I placed pretty well last year, and I couldn't even figure out how to log into the damn thing this year, so I haven't been a participant.
Did you check with Blake? You can join now. You can still log in.
I have vowed to myself to never help Mike McKown with any technology ever again. We almost got in a fist fight trying to get Peacock on his TV the other day.
You can pick 8 drivers.
So it's a double point event. So you need to pick 8 drivers, but your budget is doubled, Dakota. So you can afford anybody you want. You've heard these names. We've been bantering them back and forth. Now it's just a match game for you.
I just realized I picked Scott Dixon to win the poll.
Yes, you did.
For qualifications twice.
We have to give it, while Dakota's doing this, I will give complete credit to Brad Lowry, who picked, if you go, Zach, to the qualifications for this year, he picked the front row. Exactly.
That's impressive.
Dead nuts on
impressive.
180 points or whatever in the fantasy deal. And he
That's
got every
pretty
one of
good
them.
because I had VK second.
He had Dixon, Pillow, VK, 1, 2, 3.
That's pretty good.
And there's a bonus for each one of those positions you got. Dakota, how we doing over there? Talk us through your process.
It's still working.
All right. But tell us what you're thinking. This is an interactive show. What are you picking so far? What do you got in your hopper? Are you going to take out?
Tom Sneva is not a choice.
Oh, the only winner with glasses.
This is how good I was in the largest of the groups I'm in, the Prue Day. I was 31st on Fast Friday for picks. I was 4th for qualifications. Most of that probably on picking Dixon because I was just like, but Dixon did what Dixon always does. He just comes out and he just makes everybody
just fast as hell.
So Tom Sneva was the winner the year I was born. Zach, what year? You're an 81 model?
82.
82. So you've got Gordon Johncock?
Yeah. And I've listened to the replay a bunch in podcasts. It was apparently an incredible.
It was the winner for
finish.
you, Mike.
In 82, my winner was going to be Danny Angias, and he hit the wall
when
in
you were born.
Jules Goo.
1965.
Was it Jim Clark?
That may be.
I think Jim Clark won in 1965.
Mine is the Paul Tracy. Paul Tracy was my winner.
Are you really
Oh
2002?
my gosh. That's horrendous. Been going to the race for longer than you've been alive.
Yeah, Jim Clark is 1965.
Blake's first race he went to, I remember taking him home and he was crying because Marco got passed at the line.
Okay, Blake, you have a new mission.
Okay, pause.
Wait, Blake has a new mission. I need you, and it'd be good if Mike rolled tape on this. We could orchestrate it. Blake, I need you to, when Elio Castroneves walks by you, to say, Elio, your career at the Speedway is older than me. Because he was a rookie in 2001.
See, he has been flying past me on a scooter, so I don't think I'll have the opportunity, nor do I want to mess with that man on his drive for 5. I've got more respect.
I think he would laugh and chuckle.
Yeah, but not
and then rub your head and go, "Hey, little kid."
Or I'm 6 inches taller than him, but
he couldn't reach the top of Blake's head.
But I've got 2 days left to see him. Carb day
and race day.
He's gonna be balls to the wall. And race day, you don't mess with the man.
You don't mess with any of them on race day.
I'm not going to say a word to one of them.
Just do me a favor and really listen to the crowd on Carb Day, because it's a very different crowd. It's a bunch of corporate people, and you will hear the funniest quotes from just people talking.
All right, Dakota, you signaled for me. What did we pick? What was we vamped? What are the Dakota Davis, a Tokad Savad? What's your team name?
Thief Thumbs.
Thief Thumbs Racing.
Yep. Sorry, I forgot to pick the podium.
You shouldn't pick the podium at the 500. Nobody cares about second or third.
I have
Graham Rahal, 2 third-place finishes. Who gives a
Joseph Newgarden.
Okay.
Takuma Sato.
Yes.
Helio Castroneves.
Neves, thanks.
Neves, yep.
Alexander, it's kind of an inside joke. Jeremiah corrects me every time I pick him, so I pick him every time. Then I have Alexander Rossi, Jack Harvey, Connor Daly, Jimmy Johnson, and Kirk Kirkwood.
Kirk Kirkwood.
So you've got 3 good picks in there.
So what did that cost you?
It's a full $200.
You spent $200 on that pile?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm guessing that Joseph Newgarden is. I'm guessing Joseph's dramatically overpriced.
He's probably $150.
Considering that
Joseph
the
probably costs
32.
Yeah.
That's he's not.
Joseph's been on the struggle bus. He is one of the best drivers this season.
I'm keeping him.
But you do you. Just hit save. Do me a favor and hit save this time.
I've got it. It's safe.
All right. So
I can't even log in, guys. I'm not in the game.
Mike.
I got lucky and I
My
forgot.
password to everything is Mario.
Don't say this, Mike. Stop. No, stop right there.
A version
Stop.
of Mario,
Stop.
and
Stop.
it is not working.
Mike.
Mike, and you're born
That's
in
your financial information, man.
My financial
1965.
information is not that.
1965.
Oh, my God.
What was your mother's maiden name?
So
Stop. Jesus.
That's not one
you
of the
have
questions
my heart
either.
racing over here.
He saw his
Mike's
inheritance.
going to get hacked.
He saw his inheritance going to some
Blake-
guy in Ethiopia.
Blake is about ready to have to go to Goodwill for pants.
He may be Ivy Tech next year.
Oh, dear.
All right, it's time for final thoughts and picks. I want a winner and a dark horse from you, Blake McKown. And do you have a Fitbit on? What's your heart rate right now?
It's about 180 right now. I can't think of a
He
thought.
thinks I'm dumb enough to play into that.
You
Go.
The panic in his voice. We know now.
We haven't had that kind of panic since Mason Rottinghouse started giving me a Microsoft Surface and Dakota lost his shit.
Okay. So I guess it doesn't go along with the odds, but from where he's starting in the field, Colton Herta is my dark horse, starting 25th, I believe. That's a long trek up to P1. He's my dark horse. He's also my favorite driver, but I think he's got the hard head. The young guy has his dad in his ear, so he's going to be pissed off the entire time. He's going to get to the front.
Yep.
Well,
He already won the first race.
His dad is also probably one of the greatest strategists in 500 history
Yes.
because his dad won the 100th running and the 100th anniversary running, and both of them, especially the 100th running, on
One-off
crazy strategy. He won that race for
Yes.
Rossi.
But I think he's just got that hard head, and he's going to get his way to the front. My other pick, which some might see as a dark horse, is Marcus Ericsson.
I mean, I think he's got a better chance than
He's
Joseph
just there.
Newgarden.
He's just turned into that
he's
dude.
always-
He's kind of he's turned into an Iceman. He's the Swedish Iceman.
he is a top 10 driver
Yes.
in the series.
So those are my two, Colton Herta and Marcus Ericsson.
All right. I do note that accepting a dark horse from Andretti or Ganassi is kind of cheating, but hey, it's you're McKown.
He's starting
We'll accept it.
25th. He's starting 25th. Like,
I believe Mike chose Elio as a dark horse last year.
he did.
No, I chose him as my pick.
He was a dark horse till he won.
Yeah.
Mr. Dark Horse over there, Mr. 1996, right? 96?
Yeah. Yep.
That'd be Buddy Lazier.
Yes.
Was the winner of your birth
buddy.
year. Buddy Lazier, Vail, Colorado, American, one with a broken back. You've been semi paying attention. You've been cleaning as well. I'm watching the chat real quick. Jane Burcham, Roger Ward, 1959, and Christy Avery said, "What year was I born?" Or she says 1967. That would have been AJ.
That was
Foyt.
my mom's. That had to be my mom's first year. That was
AJ.
not the year she was born.
First year she attended.
Maybe.
All right. So AJ Foyt for Christy Avery. Dakota, who's your favorite and who's your dark horse?
Kirk Kirkwood.
If Kirk Kirkwood wins the 500, that's like Kevin Malone having a bet on John
going,
Mellencamp winning an Oscar.
I'm going to say Alexander Rossi
Is your favorite?
is my favorite.
Okay.
And then Connor Daly's my dark horse.
See,
That is the most bro choices
that's
you could make.
Yep.
That's a podcast listener right there.
You look
everybody.
like a Connor Daly fan.
I don't know.
Minus the mullet.
Never heard him.
Connor.
Done anything with him.
Connor is literally Joey Molinero's co-host on Speed Street.
That's the only reason.
Also, Joey, you guys came up and talked to me.
Yes.
Was less nervous than the first time I met him. I met him at the Indians game whenever he was supposed to take me out to the ball game last year. And then I went up to him real early. He was there just interviewing people. Great guy. Absolutely love him.
I love Joey. Joey's a treasure.
He's a gem.
He's been. I have really enjoyed being along Joey's side as he's gained his love for the Speedway. And
Whenever he left Barstool, it kind of hurt me because I'm a Barstool guy, but he has done very well for himself and is really growing the sport of IndyCar, and I am appreciating it a lot.
as you age out, you'll appreciate him not being a barstool too.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for me, Dakota?
I have nothing, man.
You got nothing to celebrate.
Hopefully it sounds better over here.
Sounds like he's going to head down to Mr. Fuel and get some Dakota jerky.
Are you going to make it to the big donut eating contest this weekend on Friday?
I don't think
upset
so,
I'm not gonna
actually.
be able to make
We'll be
that.
camping.
It's a tough date. I'm excited
Yeah.
for the bicentennial, but it's carb day, so it is
Yeah,
really
I wish they would
tough.
have done it the next weekend.
Really
Yeah,
tough
it's
to make it.
a bad day for it.
All right, so Mike, favorite dark horse. I swear to God, if you pick the pole sitter and the guy in the outside pole, we're going to dismiss you early.
No,
He's got a strong
my
opinion.
favorite is Tony Kanaan. I really think he's slipping through and will be there at the end. And I'm going to go with my dark horse. I'm going to pick Will Power as my
That's
dark
not
horse.
a dark horse,
can't pick
dude.
up
He's
Penske.
in the fast 12.
If they're on,
He's starting 12.
Will Power.
Mike, we're going to disallow
Yeah,
that.
no.
If they are on the
15 and behind.
if they're on the list of our top line, I don't think that's allowed.
Okay, then I'll give a different one as well.
If he's because Will is literally 1, 2, 3, 4.
He's
He
the
is the
fourth favorite.
fifth on the list.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Will is 14-1 odds.
I don't think he has a chance.
I'm going to complain for a minute.
We're gonna mark Mike down for Kirk Kirkwood.
No, if I have to go that way, then I'm going to go J.R.
Oh,
Hildebrand.
I thought you were going to say Jimmy Johnson.
I just like J.R. Hildebrand, so
He's a great dude.
We're gonna pick him, Mr. Pikes Peak.
All right.
Give me, if I can't count Colton Herta, give me David Malukas.
There you go. That's a good choice. I like
He's
David.
quick.
So my David Maluka story, he was on a podcast and talking about the HMD Bar and Grill. his family owns a trucking company, HMD, which is some sort of a Henry David Malukas or something is what it stands for. It's a family business. And he says that there's a real restaurant called the HMD Bar and Grill, and it's in Illinois. Sarah went to incredible efforts to try to locate the damn thing to actually go, because she is like George Costanza going to the Hamptons. She will go. She will go to this restaurant just to do it. I find David on pit lane. I'm like, dude, my wife will not stop talking about trying to find this damn thing. And I don't think it's real. He's like, really? It tells me the town. He's like, Rolling Hills, Illinois, or whatever. And I'm like, you're not pulling my leg. He's like, I swear to God, it's real. So maybe there's a family restaurant as well, but I have yet to see a picture of it or see what the menu is.
And another Malukas point, he has been, next to Devlin DeFrancesco, has been the greatest on signing autographs for little kids. And I just love when guys do that, because it's coming full circle for me. Like, I was helping little kids get autographs. You guys know I was running around getting autographs. David Malukas, about to go run his ass off in qualifying, steps out of his pit box, signs for a little kid, and goes back in.
Yep. I think that's a great choice, David Malukas. Zach, you're over here looking, you're deciding.
Yeah, I'm trying, because the weird thing is that if you look at the back of the qualifying, it's like Scott McLaughlin's 26th, Colton Herr's 25th. And so it's like a lot of the dark horses
look at the 10th row.
Is it really a dark horse if it's
Marco Andretti's on the 10th row, isn't he?
No, the 10th row, isn't that Elio, Pagano, and Herta?
10th row
Herta's
is Kirk Kirkwood, Dalton Kellett, and Juan Pablo Montoya. Row 9 is Colton Herta, Scott McLaughlin, and Elio Castroneves.
That's the one that won.
That's an insane row 9.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm trying to think here. Favorite. And Tony Khan's almost too far up there too. He's like a fast 6 guy. Because I would think I'd like to beat Tony or Ed. I'll go Ed Carpenter, because I think he's got the car. Whether or not he can beat his own guy in VK, who knows? And then I don't know if you can count Rossi in 20th as a dark horse, but I don't know. Andretti hasn't shown much this year, so I'm going to call Rossi. If I had to go real deep, I would go Lundgaard maybe. But yeah, they don't have anything either.
I don't like Lundgaard.
Rahal Letterman has nothing.
Lundgaard, yeah, that's total tail end of the field, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I would say Rossi. He's 20th. I'll call 20th pretty far back in the field. I mean, he got out-qualified by...
Not Will Power starting 12th.
He gets Rossi, and I can't have Will Power.
He's starting 12th, Mike.
I don't care.
He made the fast 12. The only Penske, though, wasn't he? Yeah.
All right. So I've been doing some betting and watching the lines as this has gone along. So a little bit of this is cheating, because I locked in on Alex Palou back in March at plus 1,600.
Yeah, you get in on that.
So I've got Alex Palou at dark horse odds, but I picked him. But he's my favorite at this point. He's my favorite to win the race. I also got in on Jimmy Johnson in March at 60-1. So I put a little bit of money on it, and if Jimmy wins, there will be literally hundreds of dollars for the Boss Hog Empire involved if Jimmy can win this race.
I think he has a chance.
I'll give you money if Jimmy Johnson wins. You can quote me on that.
Here's
I will give you money if
how much
Jimmy
we
Johnson,
talking about?
$15. I'm balling on a budget over here.
But here's what.
But
I mean, like I said, we talked about it earlier. Jimmy Johnson, for almost his entire career, spent a whole bunch of Sundays sitting back and staying out of trouble for 3 hours out of a race.
And he also had Chad Knaus cheating the whole time.
If J.R. Hildebrand actually wins this race,
that would be fantastic.
I'd love for
JR is
to
such
win.
a dude.
I will win $350 based on two $1 bets that I've
and
placed.
J.R. Hildebrand will win, not being asked about 2011 ever again.
So the J.R. Hildebrand bet is also phenomenal, and I appreciate that.
He's a cool dude.
He's
just a
he
dude.
talked baseball with me 20
20
minutes once.
Big baseball guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big car guy. Weird car. He's got like weird cool cars.
Any final thoughts from you, Zach?
No.
Or Mike? We kind of
the good thing is
over this.
It was supposed to be super hot Sunday.
It's cooling down a little
It's cooling down every time I check the forecast. But for all the local people, don't worry. The Memorial Day Parade will be scorching hot. It's supposed to be like 89 degrees or something like
and
that.
I've got to be in the Talk to Tucker tea. So if you
Monday.
guys see me.
So it wouldn't be a Newcastle Memorial Day Parade unless you were literally like cooking like eggs in a pan on the side of the road.
And the actual new McKown purchase will be in the parade for the McKown group.
Ooh, very nice.
The McKown team.
I assume, being a good Newcastlonian, it's a Mopar product.
It is not.
It's not.
How dare you, sir?
It is a Corvette.
Well, you midlife crisis then, huh?
It's
Again.
his second one, yeah. No, I looked at him. He goes, man, I should have bought these last 3 cars. I said, well, buy this one. Got it on a good deal.
There you go. A couple of announcements here, I guess. Our guy Kyle Robbins is going to be racing on Friday night in the Carb Night Classic out at IRP. So I'm planning on going. We have a bit of a tradition that when I go to a race that Kyle's supposed to be in, we get rained out. So I don't know that it's actually going to happen, but I'm going to give it my best shot.
Is Gene still spotting for him?
Gene still, at least as of last year.
Okay.
Gene Ingram was still on the radio with him. Zach and I have move-in day on Thursday for the race.
Supposed to rain.
It's going to rain Wednesday, and it's
Now
gonna
you're
rain,
right
it's
close
gonna rain
to where
Thursday.
I park in the media lot, aren't you?
We were. Now we're not.
Now we'll be the first 2 weekends we were down there. Now we're
Okay.
up off turn 4
We're hitting
off
the
McRae.
We're
Are
in the
you
woods.
close to gate 10? Because I might come and knock on your door at 4:30.
Which gate's gate 10?
I got woken up
it's
about
the
5:30
North
last
40.
year.
Oh no.
Nope.
We're kind of
We're
I think
lot
we're near
6.
I think we're near gate.
What road are
Is
you
it
off
gate
of?
9?
Are you off of Georgetown?
Georgetown and McRae area,
Okay.
something like that.
I'm off of 30th Street.
We're south of 20th.
I'll still come find you. and
You're
knock
way
on
off.
your
Yeah,
door.
we're south of
I'll come
we're
for breakfast.
Just a bit south of 25th.
You're welcome to come visit anytime. Let's see what else. Oh, I'm looking forward to my father-in-law making destructive ruts as he parks his camper.
Oh my gosh,
In the
it's going to
mud.
be spectacular. Kevin's going to go off like a 17-year-old with 40 pounds of boost in a diesel. It's going to be amazing.
Roger Penske's never going to financially recover from repairing the ruts that my father-in-law is going to leave out there.
There's still ruts from Brad Kendall from like 10 years ago there, so it'll be all right.
Next week's show, we are going to have a bicentennial preview. So we have breaking news. Dakota doesn't even know this yet, but we have booked Carrie Barrett for next Thursday.
And Scott Frost?
I don't know about Scott yet. Maybe, perhaps, plausibly. I don't want to speak for Scott because I don't think he knows yet, but Carrie has just agreed. We've been working through the intermediary of Aaron Dickin. Councilman Dickin is our booking agent for this episode. He pitched it, and I said, sure, let's see what happens. And she said yes. So next Thursday,
What, do you want some breaking news?
Dickin needs to show up too.
we're in.
Breaking news for the bicentennial. Steve Alford's coming back.
Well,
Told me yesterday at
All
the
right.
funeral home that he's coming back.
Does he sleep at the Steve Alford All-American Inn? when
I
he
don't
visits
know.
town?
I don't think so.
Negative.
does he sleep in the McKown estate?
No, he's not at the ranch. He's probably over at Scott's.
That's a reasonable choice too.
Yep. Very much so. I would not.
Dickin needs to show up too. I want to hear some more updates about what's going on in this time capsule.
Mike Broyle says you have to have Scott and Barrett. Well, we have Barrett. Mike, you're in charge of telling Scott he has to show up.
That's absolutely right.
You've gotten involved. Let him know you've booked him, and he needs to clear his schedule next Thursday because he's a part of it.
Hi, Mike Broyles.
So I know the activities start Memorial Day weekend, but I have cleared my schedule, and I will be in town for the June 4th time capsule opening. The cherry on top of the entire thing.
There's a time capsule?
Well, they're going to dig one up and they're going to bury a new one.
I think the most important part is
it-
going to be the game of knockout.
The world record that's going
the
to be
world
set.
record knockout.
Is this time capsule going to be like from Parks and Rec where we can't put anything?
We're definitely putting Twilight in there.
That's
You're putting Twilight in there. Got to put Star Wars in there.
Do you know what actually is going in there?
No, I have no idea.
An iPod
Well,
with
an
Boss
iPod.
Hog on it.
Why would we put an iPod in there?
An iPhone.
Okay.
It's an iPhone 13 with a charger.
well, hell, that's better than what I have. Use mine.
Yeah. Here, yeah.
You have to
Can I
use
get
the
Can I
iPhone.
get that? And-
Mike can barely use what he has.
You have to use the iPhone that came out the year that the box.
Who's
is put in the
donating
ground.
this? I would like to work for them.
Now you're going to have it dug up and somebody's going to steal it. It's like a grave robber. Somebody's going to steal an iPhone 13 that's
Is it
allegedly
encased in
buried,
concrete?
out in the courthouse lawn. The next murder mystery.
We're not going to
Henry
bury
County.
an iPod shuffle.
That's what I thought.
We're going to put a nano. We're going to put a
iPod
nano
shuffles
out there.
have been out for like
Jeremiah's like
They've just
63 years old.
continued iPod.
They just announced they're discontinuing the last iPod, the iPod Touch, which is just an iPhone without the
Without
phone.
Remember whenever you would be playing Xbox and your mom would come in and be like, "Oh, how's the Nintendo?" That's basically Jeremiah talking about the phone. It's a how
Dakota,
that's a nice
I had
iPod.
Pong. Pong was the only video
I had
game.
the Xbox 360.
That
was my Nintendo.
We might bury it soon. Once again, Blake was born in 2002.
Yeah.
I had Nintendo when
Wow.
I knew.
George Bush had already declared war. The war was won when Blake was born.
Well, if my good
What can I
friend,
say? Good luck.
if my good friend Councilman Dickin wants my Walkman to put in the time capsule, I'll give it to him.
There might be one that
There
they're
might be
pulling
one
out
in
from
there.
72.
Yeah, because the one's from 72.
I remember the Cesspool Centennial. I was young, but I remember it.
By young,
I'm
you
gonna-
mean like
I'm gonna-
15.
Because this is public. You can look this up on YouTube. Aaron made the most hilarious comment at the city council meeting because they were talking about they're still taking suggestions for what's going to go in this time capsule. And so we told the council, if you guys have any suggestions for what we can put in the time capsule so that Kendra and I can dig it up in 50 years, insinuating that they're the only two in the room that were going to be alive to see this other one dug up. And I was like,
He's got a point.
sort of
I was like, that is the
He's
most,
got a
I know.
point.
I was like,
He's got a really
I was
good
like,
point, though.
Aaron Dickin, savage, right in the middle of an official council meeting, but he wasn't lying. I was like,
I would be
Is he wrong,
87
though?
years old if they.
69.
I'd be 88.
107.
Mike, I'm pulling for you, bud.
89.
I'm not.
Zach and I will be just holding on to walkers, praying.
I mean, I'll be hoping that my grandparents' genes, because all my grandparents made it to 93, 94. But yeah,
I would be 76.
Dakota's got a real shot.
yeah.
I'll be here.
Oh, the hell you will. You'll live in Florida and be like, I'm not going up for that.
Yeah.
He'll still try to pronounce the drivers' names at 76.
He'll be part of the show. He'll be pulling like a 50-year-old car down the road with his teeth or something, and still in a tight
Jeremiah
shirt
will,
and jeans.
Aaron Dickin will. He'll be.
I would take offense to that.
He'll be calling me. He'll probably send me a letter or something.
We'll still be.
stupid.
A letter.
Are you kidding me? We'll
The
still be doing
postal
this show in
service.
50 years, Dakota. We'll have a 55-year anniversary, and we'll run our hover-round scooters all the way down to the courthouse lawn, 2 blocks over.
God, I'll be 76. I hope I don't need a scooter.
You'll have it just
I
'cause
think
you
that we
can.
talked about this one on the last episode that Aaron Dickin was here, and I said that I vowed to be still kicking ass and taking names at 76.
That's
All right.
good.
And
Well, you
then
guys
at the
can
bu-
bring
and then,
me and put me on a refrigerator dolly or something.
and then
Weekend at Mike's.
at the next 50 years
To
celebration.
dig you up, or are you going to be just like,
I'll be preserved like this jerky.
you didn't finish your
Mike.
meal? Senior citizen Mike down there didn't
He
didn't finish his
ate
meal.
dinner at 3:30.
Should be hungry. Hey, he's probably cranky. It's after 9. I know Dakota's
He should
cranky.
be in bed.
All right. With that, we thank you guys very much.
Thank you guys for
this
having
has been
us.
spectacular. I appreciate each and every one of you for making it out and for listening. Thank you to the audience for bearing with us and dealing with Zach and I and our shenanigans, bumping back and forth between Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think we're on Thursdays for a little while until I take a week off in June. With that, we'll see you all next week.